More drivers were convicted last year, a rise of 14%, and the first one in 7 years. So what does this tell us? That Police Scotland is doing its job, or the new national force is picking on easy targets? Well, according to the Scottish Conservatives, it's the latter, who claim the public would prefer to see efforts to reduce violent crime instead of focusing on drivers. And if this is the case, does Police Scotland's pursuit of drivers risk damaging the relationship between the police and the public? Let's discuss this. You tell us, 0500 92 95 00. The team are standing by to take your calls. The phone lines are open now. Get in touch with me. And while you're doing that, let's bring in Richard Freeman. He's a solicitor advocate and a road traffic specialist. Richard, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Can I get your comments, first of all, on these statistics that I've been reading out this morning, that there's been a 14% rise. It's the first one in 7 years. We're talking about 5,000 more drivers being convicted for road traffic offences. You're often on the receiving end of calls from people who find themselves in situations they'd probably rather they weren't in. What's your take on it all?
Well, I think that the police targeting what I regard as minor road traffic offences with low tariffs is not going to contribute to road safety at all. And it's interesting that you say this increase in convictions, because, of course, that is a very, very small percentage of the overall number of people who are being stopped by the police, who more often than not are being issued with fixed penalties. So in actual fact, what that seems to represent is a huge increase in the targeting of low-level minor road traffic offences, because not many people will take these cases to court, and all of these offences are issued initially with fixed penalties, and it's only if someone disputes them, or, for example, if there are 9 points and they have to go to court, that it goes to court. But generally speaking, I can tell you that there is a general resentment from motorists who are being pulled over for minor road traffic offences such as speeding.
Do you think this is having an effect on the Police Scotland's relationship with the public in general?
Well, I think it does, because we get a large number of calls on a daily basis, and the consensus is really that the police are investing a disproportionate and unnecessary amount of time and resources in dealing with minor offences where it could be better placed dealing with much more serious crime. And at the end of the day, most motorists drive with a common sense approach to driving, and if road traffic conditions are conducive for driving, a margin above the speed limit, it's not going to affect road safety at all, and the police are targeting these people, and of course most people are going about their business, are going to work.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. Would you say that this is the police targeting, they're targeting easy targets by targeting drivers?
Yes, definitely, because not only are there so many drivers on the road that are driving on a daily basis, and at the end of the day, the police are being very strategic in where they position themselves to target these people in places where they know and can tell that the drivers might be committing road traffic offences in situations where they in fact wouldn't be a danger to the public, and that's where the resentment comes in. Right.
Richard, stay with me. You're listening to Richard Freeman, solicitor advocate. He's a road traffic specialist. Neil Gregg, you've been listening to the comments of Richard there. We've seen this increase in the number of convictions. He said this is just scratching the surface. What we're looking at here is actually probably a very, very high number of fixed penalties. The phone and give us a call. We'd like to hear the other side of the story as well on 0500 92 95 00. We are talking about road traffic convictions. They are on the rise. We've seen the highest level in the last 7 years of Morning Call. I'm Louise White. It is good to have your company today. I'm told lots of calls are coming in on our main discussion, which we started just before the news at 9 o'clock. We're talking about the rise in the number of driving convictions. Do you think this makes our roads safer? Get in touch with me about that. We'll be going to speak to Jim, who's on his mobile, but he's in Inverness. He'll be giving us his views. We've also got our guests lined up with their thoughts and opinions on it. But let me also tell you, we're looking at to our main discussion this morning. We are looking at latest statistics that have been revealed, which suggest that about 5,000 more drivers have been done for bad driving. They've been done, they've got driving convictions. across Scotland in the last year, and we're asking, do you think this will make Scotland's roads safer? 5,000 more drivers, that's what we're talking about. In percentage terms, it's about a rise of 14%. It is the first one in 7 years. So we're asking, what does this tell us? Are there just a larger number of bad drivers out there? Does it mean Police Scotland is doing its job? Does it say Police Scotland is picking on easy targets? You tell us. Scottish Conservatives are saying yes, it is picking on easy targets. We'd much rather see violent crime, etc. being tackled. We've had reservations expressed by Richard Freeman. He's with us now. He's a solicitor advocate and road traffic specialist. And he says it really is a bone of contention with him in terms of the number of convictions. It's not going to make the roads safer at the low end. He says anecdotally, people going to him, phoning his office, are suggesting that they are being picked on. You tell us, if you have been stopped by the police, has it been on a fairly regular basis? Was it with justification? Did you end up with a conviction? Let's go to Jim. He's on the line from Inverness. He's a patient man because I've been blithering away here. Jim, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Do you think they are targeting drivers? Do you think that you have become an easy target for Police Scotland?
Yes, and I've been examining this for a while, and I mean, we can all see there's a huge effort to catch speeding drivers. If you're providing evidence in a court for other things, you have to use an accredited laboratory and have calibration and so on. But the speed measuring equipment doesn't seem to have accredited calibration. I've written to the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service on this, laying out how I see it based on my experience as somebody who's been in charge of the management of government test equipment and not even received a reply, far less an explanation.
Okay, Jim, it's sounding a wee bit technical. I'm going to ask Richard Freeman just to comment on... Well, hang on, I will come back to you. I just want to get Richard Freeman's take on this. Richard, do you ever go into court with this argument that perhaps Police Scotland and equipment and how they're testing isn't quite up to standard? Do you know anything about this? I just want to get your take on this.
Yes, most speed detection equipment comes from a Home Office approved device, and there is a requirement with the agreement that the Home Office make with the manufacturers that an annual calibration certificate is provided, and that's something that we always as solicitors want to check to make sure that there is one that is valid and is in proper form. So it's always a live issue when it comes to contesting a
Okay, so that's something that a lawyer in your case would kind of factor in if you were dealing with that. Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for helping me out there. Jim, it's tough, isn't it? But at the end of the day, you were breaking the law. And I suppose that's a tough lesson. I want to go to Richard Freeman. Richard, there's Stephen. Yes. He's said how he's dealt with. He didn't get, education or a chat or anything like that. He just got hit with the points and all the rest of it. Was there anything else he could have done, or did he get what he deserved?
That's a good question. It used to be the case a few years ago that the police would exercise a degree of discretion in deciding whether to issue a fixed penalty. There would be occasions in the past where they might just admonish someone by saying, look, you're going over the speed limit, but we'll let you off on this occasion because it was just marginal. But because they have these key performance indicators and targets to reach, the discretion has very much been removed from the police officers on the ground, and it's automatically a fixed penalty because they're under a lot of pressure to reach these targets, and they get into trouble if they return back to the stations with an underperformance. So, on the one hand, you can see, why someone who is speeding is committing an offence and is issued a ticket, but in certain circumstances where, for example, the road was very quiet and there are no pedestrians about or it's late at night and there's no potential for any danger, you can see why that could be much more forgiving, and in other circumstances it could be dealt with by not issuing a fixed penalty and just telling the person not to do that again. Okay,
Richard, I know you have to leave us. You're a busy man. Many thanks indeed. We're also joined this morning by Neil Gregg, of course. Thank you very much indeed, Richard. We're also